Buddhadhamma, Chapter 5, Law of Kamma. Additional matters pertaining to Kamma. Page 471. There are several more important points pertaining to Kamma. Some of these points help to prevent serious misunderstanding arising, while others help to complete one's understanding of the subject. Now, a good question is, what is the cause for happiness and suffering, sukha and dukkha? Several teaching by Gautama Buddha emphasizes how volitional action, kamma, and the result proceed in line with cause and effect. For example, conditioned by ignorance, a person produces volitional actions of body, kāya-saṅkhāra, volitional acts of speech, vacī-saṅkhāra, volitional acts of mind, mano-saṅkhāra, either self-generated or owing to other agents, either knowingly or unknowingly. Now, this is further explained in chapter 4 on dependent origination. Similarly, Gautama Buddha refuted the doctrine of karmic autogenesism, that's attakāra-vāda, which states that sukha and dukkha are entirely self-determined, that happiness and suffering are self-determined. And the doctrine of karmic heterogenesism, that's parakāra-vāda, which states that sukha and dukkha are entirely caused by external factors. One must investigate each distinctive process in order to determine the degree of involvement by oneself and by external factor. One should not make a definite judgment based on a simple glance or analysis. So there's two doctrines that describe happiness and suffering, sukha and dukkha. One is attakāra-vāda. The other one is parakāra-vāda. These two terms are in Pali. One has to do with the entirely determined by the self. The other one has to do with determining external factors. Both of them have to be analyzed. These teaching helps to prevent the extreme misunderstanding of Kamma, that all things arise exclusively due to one's own action, without taking into account external or environmental factors that play a participatory role. Here it is important to distinguish between the principle of Kamma as the natural law and Kamma from the perspective of ethical conduct. So far as the discussion has focused on Kamma as the natural law, which pertains to natural dynamics of volitional action, of intention, and which incorporate all the myriad causes and conditions involved. The teaching of Kamma relates to ethics, however, are practical and to be applied. They are mainly focused on individual people who should take full and entire responsibility of their intentional actions for these teachings to fulfill their true objective. They begin by emphasizing personal responsibility. One example that Gautama Buddha's teaching is, one is one's own refuge. Besides emphasizing the need to help others and to initiate actions, these teachings also point to the relationship to other people's actions. That is, for other people to successfully offer assistance to oneself, one must first establish self-reliance. One's self-reliance will influence the degree of assistance others are willing to give. It also influences one's own response to such external assistance. Through proper investigation, one sees how the principle of Kamma as a natural law and the principle of Kamma in the relation to ethics are not contradictory. Rather, they are mutually supportive. Misinterpretation of Kamma. There are three views pertaining to happiness and suffering, sukha and dukkha, that need to be distinguished from the Buddhist teaching on Kamma. Number one, kāya-saṅkhāra, past action determination. The belief that all happiness and suffering is the result of past karma. Number two, isara nimittana hetuvata, theistic determinism. So the belief that all happiness and suffering is created by a supreme God. And number three, attakāra-vāda, indeterminalism or accidentalism, the belief that all happiness and suffering arise dependent on arbitrary facts of fate, F-A-T-E, without cause or condition. So these are the three Buddhist teaching on Kamma that needs to be distinguished. One of them is that the belief of happiness and suffering is caused by our past actions. Number two is the belief that this happiness and suffering is created by a supreme being, a deity, an entity, a God. And number three, a belief that happiness and suffering arise by fate, without causes and conditions, just by accident. These wrong views are described in the sutta passage. Monks, bhikkhu, there are three sectarian tendencies, which, when questioned, interrogated, and cross-examined by the wise, are attributed to passed down traditions, and which are firmly established in the principle of non-doing, attakāra-vāda. What are these three, monks? Number one, there are some ascetics and Brahmins who hold such a doctrine as view as this: whatever a person experiences, whether pleasure, pain, or neither pain nor pleasure, all that is caused, but what is done is in the past. Number two, there are other ascetics and Brahmins who hold such a doctrine and view as this: whatever a person experiences, whether pleasure, pain, or neither pleasure or pain, all is caused by God's creative power. Isara nimitmana hetu. And number three, there are still other ascetics and Brahmins who hold such a doctrine as view as this: whatever a person experiences, whether pleasure, pain, neither pleasure or pain, all that occurs without causes and conditions. Ahetu apachaya. Monks, bhikkhus, I approached the first group of ascetic and Brahmins, and I asked them, is it true that you venerable ones hold such a doctrine in view? When I asked them this, they affirmed it. Then I said to them, in such case, is it due to past deeds that you might destroy life, take what is not given, indulge in sexual activity, speak falsehood, and hold wrong view? Those who fall back on past deeds as the essential truth have no desire or endeavor in this respect. Thus should be done. This should be avoided, since they do not truly apprehend that which should be done, that which should be avoided. These ascetics and Brahmins are deluded and devoid of safeguards. They possess no legitimate personal doctrine of an ascetic. This was my first legitimate censure of those ascetics and Brahmins who hold such a doctrine in view. Monks, bhikkhus, I approached that second group of ascetic and Brahmins and I asked them, is it true? Then I say to them, in such a case, is it due to God's creative power that you might destroy life, take what is not given, indulge in sexual activity, speak falsehood, and hold wrong view? Those who fall back on God's creative activity as the essential truth have no desire or endeavor in this respect. This should be done. This should be avoided. Monks, bhikkhus, I approached the third group of ascetics and Brahmins and I asked them, is it true? Then I say to them, in such a case, is it without cause or condition that you might destroy life, take what is not given, indulge in sexual activity, speak falsehood, and hold wrong view? Those who fall back on an abstinence of cause and conditions as the essential truth have no desire or endeavor in this respect. This should be done. This should be avoided. The first doctrine of past action determinism was held by Nikanta, which is part of the Jainism sect, as confirmed by the Sutra practice. Monks, bhikkhus, there are some recluses and Brahmins who hold such a doctrine and view as this: whatever a person feels, whether pleasure or pain or whatever kind of feeling, all that is caused by what was done in the past. So by annihilating thorough aestheticism, past actions, and by doing no fresh action, there will be no binding authority in the future. With no binding authority in the future, there is no destruction of action. With the destruction of action, there is destruction of suffering. With the destruction of suffering, there is the destruction of feeling. With the destruction of feeling, all suffering will be exhausted. So speak Nigatas to the monks. That's what the Jainist monks said to the other groups of monks. Here is a similar sutra passage. Some feeling, sivaka, arise originating from bio disorders, produced by change of climate, produced by irregular exercise, caused by assault, produced by the result of Kamma. Those ascetics and Brahmins hold such a doctrine and a view to this: whatever feeling a person experiences, whether pleasure, pain, neither pleasure nor pain, all that is caused by what is done in the past. I say that this is wrong on the part of those ascetics and Brahmins. These teachings by Gautama Buddha prevented people from falling into extreme or unreasonable views, whereby they only understand Kamma in the context of actions performed in the past. By holding to such views, people simply sit around waiting for the results of past Kamma to determine their destiny. They do not consider how to actively improve themselves in the present. These misunderstandings develop into pernicious forms of wrong view, miccha-titi, as described in the passage above. Moreover, one can clearly see from those words that Gautama Buddha regarded determined effort to see at the heart of all his teaching on Kamma. The value of these teachings is determined by the relationship to effort. These teachings by Gautama Buddha do not negate past Kamma. It acknowledges that past Kamma is involved in causal process and influence the present moment. The past and the present are both part of dynamic cause and effect. The key principle here is that the past Kamma is connected to causality. It is not related to some kind of presumed supernatural reality into which one must entrust one's destiny. A clear understanding of dependent origination, pati-samupata, in particular, will help to dispel any doubts about this matter. This may be compared to someone who climbs up a 3-story building. It is irrefutable that the arrival of the 3rd floor is dependent on the person's action, the act of walking up the stairs. And once up on the 3rd floor, it is impossible for that person to reach out his hand and touch the ground, or to get in a car and drive around as if he was on the road. These similarly irrefutable facts are also determined on his climbing up to the 3rd floor. In the same way, were he to feel exhausted from climbing, unable to go up or down until he had a rest, that exhaustion too would be dependent on his actions. It is beyond question that the arrival at the third floor, the range of activities available at this location, and the need to engage with whatever objects are found here are all consequences of previous actions, of having walked up the stairs. But whatever that person then does, whether it entails enacting with those things found in this place, having a rest, or descending the stairs, are all based on new decisions. There is a range of possibilities, and each choice leads to specific results. Although the previous actions may still be exerting an effect, for example, the man may be tired from walking. It is up to him whether to give it to his tiredness and have a rest, or whether to respond in some other way. All these factors include past karmas, or passive causal process, based on the understanding of dependent origination, the law of cause and effect. One can benefit from past karma by drawing lessons from it, strengthening reason discernment. I emphasize this, strengthening reason discernment, and increasing an understanding of various past phenomena that are arisen, including an understanding of one's current mental disposition, so that one can make plans for the present and act to bring about good results into the future.